Meanwhile, in Ghana, the country says it might be close to securing approval from the International Monetary Fund's board for that $3 billion bailout prior to restructuring its Eurobonds. Now, this all comes as the West African nation's bilateral creditors meet to discuss whether to provide enough relief to unlock the IMF bailout. Now, Ghana is targeting an agreement by the end of April, but it's yet to complete negotiations to reorganize about $13 billion of Eurobonds. That's after the government unilaterally suspended payments on most of its external obligations back in December. Now, Ghana's public debt stood at about $53 billion at the end of last November. President Nana Akufo-Addo's government has imposed new taxes as well as pledged not to borrow from the nation's central bank as part of a deal to secure that IMF bailout. Well, let's get the latest on that from the ground. Nabil Ahmed Rufai now joins us in Accra. Nabil, always good to see you on the show. Now, of course, last we talked, the ongoing negotiations with the IMF were expected to conclude by March this year. Now we're hearing that the country is targeting an agreement by the end of April. What exactly is delaying a conclusion in those negotiations with the IMF?
Well, Uche, Ghana's bilateral creditors like China, which Ghana owes about $2 billion, and then the Paris Club have yet to agree on a term of debt relief for Ghana. Now, the concern has been over whether the creditors would agree to a haircut or decide to extend the period of payment for the loans. Now, this is something that has been on the table for a very long time and led to Ghana missing its own deadline of securing the IMF bailouts in March because the government was not able to make the debt sustainable. Now, due to the negotiations still ongoing and it's not yet been finalized, now the government hopes to secure the IMF bailouts in April. Now, you realize that the U.S. government has even decided to step in by appointing a resident technical advisor to help the Ghanaian government implement some reforms to help make the debt sustainable, which is a key requirement for the $3 billion IMF bailout Ghana is trying to secure. So as they meet over in Washington, the Paris Club will definitely decide on the terms of the debt relief they would want to give Ghana, and if it is favorable and it helps Ghana's debt to become sustainable, then we are looking at going to get this particular bailout that the country desperately needs.
Well, Nabil, listening to what the different sides are saying, and I mean Ghana's government and also your creditors, we hear the bilateral creditors, they actually plan to form an official committee this week. Now, aside from what the government is also saying, is it clear right now what the plan is going to be going forward?
Well, from where I sit, it's not really clear on what the plan is at the moment, because when Ghana decided to secure an IMF bailout, the plan was to restructure its debts in phases. So it started with the domestic debt, and that one was concluded amid a lot of pushback from local bondholders. Now, the next step was now to restructure the bilateral debt, and it's still ongoing. So we just hope that whatever discussion that will be held by the Paris Club in Washington or this week would help Ghana get, the loan. But with the Euro bonds, we know that Ghana has already missed the payment on the Euro bond in December. It's defaulted, and it's already signaled that the Eurobond holders will be the hardest hit in this whole debt restructuring process, and it's something that has gone to show that the governments will be defaulting on the payment. But as to whether there's been some negotiations going on with the commercial creditors, That one has not yet come out as yet. But we know that once the government is done with the bilateral debts, then the next target would be the Eurobonds, Uche.